If my hair looks like it's being a little weird today, that's because it's being a little weird today.
When it's all over, who's gonna be in your court?
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms, and in today's video we're going to be talking about what sold for me on some of those platforms in the week of December 5th through the 11th. We're almost caught up to the end of 2022 here. I promise we're going to get caught up here at some point in my life. This particular week of sales, it was okay. It wasn't like the worst week ever, not like the weeks that I talked about in last week's What Sold video. I didn't hit my goal, but I had some pretty strong sales, especially on eBay. eBay really pulled through, even though typically Poshmark is my best-selling platform. And that's one of the reasons I preach cross-listing all the time, is because I sleep better at night not relying just on one platform, because sometimes platforms, they go through some stuff and I don't want to be a casualty of that. And Poshmark has gone through its share of stuff in the past year. So it's been really great having these other platforms to rely on as well. And you guys know, if you've been watching my channel, that the reason I am able to list on as many platforms as I do is because of a cross-listing platform called List Perfectly. It is what enables me to cross-list quickly and to also manage all of my inventory and to keep track of where all of my listings are listed. And List Perfectly is really the biggest reason as to why I had any success on eBay and even Mercari. I had some great Mercari sales as well. So if you want to try out List Perfectly yourself, I do have a coupon code down below, and I do have a playlist right here with tutorials on how to use List Perfectly, so definitely check that out. But let's jump right into what sold for me in this week, and we're going to start by talking about Monday, which was December 5th. And I sold a rather odd item, not something that I typically sell in my reselling platforms, but it was a hat. It was called the Tilly Airflow hat. It was in a size 7, because I don't know if you know this, but hats have sizes. It had UPF protection. It was water repellent. It had a pocket in the hat. It was beige, and it was meant to be worn outdoors. If I remember correctly, this was an Australian brand. I could be super wrong, but I picked this up at a local garage sale for $15. And that turned out to be a mistake because I only sold it for $20. I think at the time when I looked it up, comps were better. You know, I think this is definitely the kind of hat that you sell in the summer. And I think I listed it in the summer, but it just didn't sell then. So it's just kind of been sitting, and someone was like, this girl is not going to want to sit on this hat through the winter. I'm going to send her a lowball offer and see if she takes it. And I did. I just wanted to move it and just kind of clear stuff out. So I made a profit of $1.
Cash money, I'm gonna make it rain.
We were off to a winning start this week. The next sale was much better and also odd. It is a strange one. So this was a new Sochivi's, I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm so sorry, BBL, which stands for Brazilian Butt Lift, J-shaped sleeping pillow, and it was to be used post BBL surgery or post Brazilian butt lift surgery. I didn't know this was a thing. I certainly did not pick this up myself. Many months ago, I actually received a box from a wholesale company, and they will wholesale out Amazon returns, that sort of thing. So I got this box with a bunch of random stuff in it. It had this, it had like water bottles, it had pillows, alarm clocks, knives, just like a bunch of random stuff. Most of it not really that good. Like all Amazon products, and a lot of them made in China. You could tell some of this stuff was like Alibaba stuff. This gave me pause as I was doing the haul. And in fact, at the time of filming the haul, I didn't know what this was, but I did some research after, and that's when I learned that it was a pillow to be used for after you have Brazilian butt lift surgery. So that's a thing. And this was brand new in the box. It was still sealed. It sold for my full asking price of $50. So I made a net profit of $40 because that box was sent to me for free for me to open on my YouTube channel for you guys to watch. If you haven't watched that video yet, I will link it right here. It was not great. I did not end up super like recommending it at the end. Like it was enjoyable and there were some cool things in there, and a lot of the best stuff I just kept for myself actually. So there were some decent things, but given how much you have to actually pay for it, if you're paying for it out of pocket, I don't know that it was worth it. But a lot of the items have been surprising me. So this sold for $50. I had like a hydrogen water bottle sell not too long ago for a good amount. Some of these items have actually been selling for a good amount. I just personally hate picking up items that are not clothing or accessory related because it's a lot harder for me to find out information about those items, to list those items. The nice thing about this box has been, however, that because these are Amazon returns, most of the items I have been able to find on Amazon pretty quickly. So I've been able to find a lot of the information that I need in terms of what to put in the description, what the listing title should be, and even how I should price it. I've been finding a lot of that information on Amazon. So that's been really helpful and has definitely cut down on the amount of time that I would have had to spend researching what a BBL pillow was. I was able to figure it out pretty quickly thanks to Amazon. But yeah, if you're out there in the wild and you happen to come across one of these and they're not asking too much, you could make $40 on it. Just saying. The next thing to saw was definitely a little bit more normal, more up my alley, just more typical of the kinds of things that I sell. It was over on eBay, and it was a pair of clogs by Sanita. Sanita is a comfort brand, very similar to Dansko and Allegria in the style of shoes that they make. I think that personally I've only ever come across clogs by Sanita. Again, very similar to like the Dansko clogs. These had like a gray metallic exterior. They were the Ray Lynn style. They were slip-on clogs in a European size 37 or US size 6. They were slip resistant. And these did have some flaws. Like there was like some of the exterior, especially like right on the tongue of the shoe, like right where your foot hits when you slide your foot in, there was some wear, like some of the material was coming off, and there were a couple spots like that, but these still sold for $40, even after I took pictures of those flaws and disclosed those flaws. They sold for $40, and I only had $2.52 into those because I picked them up at a local consignment store when they were having a birthday sale. So the promotion for their birthday sale was you fill plastic bags, and each plastic bag is $25. And that's why my average cost of goods was so low, is because I was shoving a lot of stuff into each plastic bag. And so I made a net profit on those shoes of $30.91. These kinds of shoes are not like the coolest shoes to pick up. They're not the most desirable. They don't like sell out necessarily, but I do think that in 2023, especially right now, especially given the state of the economy of our country, I am trying to focus more on what people need versus what people want. There was a time when you could go out and source fun shoes for girls to go out in, fun heels, just like shoes that people would buy to build their collection. That's not really the case anymore. There are still some people who can operate like that, but a lot more people are living paycheck to paycheck, are just kind of worried about how they're going to put the next meal on their table, and they're not able to just splurge on random unnecessary things. But things like these kinds of shoes that a lot of people who work on their feet all day would like to wear because they're comfortable, maybe they've got some issues with their feet, these are a need, I would say. And so I am focusing more on picking up this kind of stuff to resell on my reselling platforms because I think that they're going to get snatched up a lot quicker and for more money than just things that people would want but don't necessarily need. Let me know if you've shifted what you're sourcing with the recession in mind as well. So the next day of sales that we'll talk about is Tuesday, which was December 6th. I had one sale and it was over on Mercari. I think this kind of falls into the same camp of what I was just talking about. I think this is kind of a need versus a want. And it was this pair of Clark's Bushacre 2 Chukka dark brown beeswax leather boots in a men's size 38. Is it Chukka or is it Chuka? I've never heard this word spoken out loud, so I don't actually know. But these sold for $40. I got them a long time ago from a friend of mine who moved to another state. She like dabbled in reselling when she lived in town with me, but she didn't want to take all of her inventory to this new state with her as they moved. And so she just went ahead and gave it to me. I gave her some money. She didn't want my money, but I was like, no, you should take some money for this. And she's reselling now where she's moved to and taking it super seriously. And it's just become a really great side hustle for her. And that makes me so happy and so excited for her. But essentially, I got these for $1.50, and so I made a net profit of $32.84. Again, I think these are the kinds of shoes that people are wearing to work. I think it's a necessity. I think it's like a nice dressier shoe versus just like a fun shoe to wear just out and about. But these are the kinds of things that I'm looking to source. Not that I source these, they were given to me, but you know what I mean. The next day of sales that we'll talk about is Wednesday, December 7th. The first thing to sell was this vintage Izod blue alpine striped crew neck sweater in a men's size large. It was made of 100% cotton, and this came to me from a Fleek box. Fleek, in case you don't know, is a website and app that sells vintage, but they do it wholesale. And so there are sellers that create these lots of vintage pieces, and you can purchase them directly from the seller, get to know the seller a little bit. You can set up like video calls with them. But they had reached out to me to see if I would make a video for them showing, one of the boxes from just like a random seller. I picked out the seller, I picked out the box myself, and I got a good, amazing firebox. It was 25 men's vintage sweaters. This is one of the sweaters that was in that box. It sold for $50, which was my full asking price on Poshmark. Because they gave me a discount to work with when purchasing the box, my cost of goods only came out to $1.82. However, had I not received that discount, I would have ended up paying a little over $15 per sweater. Now that does include shipping. I think everything on that app and that website includes shipping, which is a lot. Like, that's a lot to pay per item. I still would have come out ahead though. Like, I still would have done really well with that box. But with the super low cost of goods that I got, I ended up making a net profit of $38.18. I have had a few people reach out to me because I've been talking about this company a lot in my What Sold videos, simply because things have been selling. So I'm going to talk about, those items, and I'm going to talk about the company. So people have said, hey, I checked out your link down in the description below. It is expensive. And like I said, it is. And there are some sellers that are selling things for much more than others. You do have to dig around a little bit on the site to find a seller who is not charging too much. I personally would recommend finding sellers in the United States because they're going to be able to charge you a little bit less for shipping than if you're getting a box from Pakistan. Like, that's going to be really expensive because they're building the cost of shipping into the items. So I think there are great deals to be had. You just have to dig. And I get that this is not going to be a great way to source for a lot of people, but if you love vintage and you'd like to receive vintage pieces in bulk, and you want to have the opportunity to get to know the person that's selling you stuff, I think it could be a cool resource to check out. So I will have that affiliate link down in the description below if you want to check them out. I personally just did have really great luck with them, and you can see that in that sweater. The next thing to sell was over on eBay. It was this pair of J. Crew 770 straight fit blue jeans in a men's size 31 by 32. These sold for $27.80. I only had $3.99 into them from a local thrift store. And so I made a net profit of $18.73. And you'll notice a lot of what I've been talking about so far has been men's pieces. I do like to sell women's, men's, children's, and I have been finding that men's stuff has been selling so well for me lately. So if you have been kind of scared to dip your toes into selling men's stuff, I do actually have a video right here where I talk about some of the men's brands that sell best for me. By no means is this a list of the best men's brands to sell. It's based off of what I have access to, and I don't have access to a lot of like high-end brands. So there are other resellers out there who also talk about men's stuff that they have access to much higher quality, brands and pieces than I do. But if you want just like a general overview of great bread and butter brands that if you live in a community like mine, you probably will have some luck finding as well, I think it's a pretty good video to check out. So I'll have that linked up there, like I said. But the big takeaway is dabble in other categories when it comes to reselling. If you're only selling women's, try out a men's piece or two. You might be surprised and you might find that you love it. The next thing to sell was over on Mercari. It was this Lululemon along the way cowl neck sweater dress in a size extra small. This is actually something that I purchased myself on Kidizen to wear around the town. I don't know. Around the town? How old am I? I liked it. It was shorter than I would have liked for it to be. And I'm short. I'm 5 feet. So like if something's short on me, I'm a little bit scared to see how short it is on average size people. But I don't know. I just like didn't ever wear it, so I was like, I need to just list this. I need to get it out of my house. I definitely got less for it than I probably bought it for, if I remember correctly, but it sold for $44. I'm saying I made a net profit of $37.82 because I did wear it a handful of times, so, yeah. The next day of sales that we'll talk about is Thursday, December 8th. The first thing to sell on Poshmark was by the brand, I don't know how to say this one either. Is it COS? COS? I don't know, but it's a pretty good brand. Their pieces retail for a good amount. I do think that their resale value has gone on a steady decline, so I was actually pretty happy with what I got for this item. It was this gray mock neck wool blend sweater in a size large. This brand makes great neutral pieces. A lot of their pieces are sometimes oversized, but they're just like classic neutral minimalist pieces, and so I thought this fell into that camp perfectly. It sold for $38, and I actually sourced it on Whatnot. I bought it on Whatnot for $7.97. That's including getting the item shipped to me, and this was kind of a heavy piece, so I must have bought it for like $2 or $3. But I ended up making a net profit on that sweater of $22.43. I'm not on Whatnot very much anymore. I'm not really like popping into people's shows as much as I was, just because I felt like I was not super productive when I was on Whatnot all the friggin' time. Like I just was not getting anything done. So I think it's better for me to not be on Whatnot, but also I did source some pretty great things over there. I don't think it was the best ROI on my time. The next thing to sell was over on eBay, and it was by Polo Ralph Lauren. It was this blue long sleeve lace-up sweater in a youth size extra large. I'm kind of irritated that I sold this because my daughter could have grown into it. Like she doesn't wear a size extra large yet, so I wish I would have kept it to have her wear it in the future. She put it in like the donate pile because she was like, I'm never gonna wear this. There's definitely a chance that her style could have evolved by the time that she was old enough to wear this, but I don't know. I think she and I made the collaborative decision to just go ahead and list it. I think she was like, I'm not going to wear it because it came to me in a wholesale pallet from a fellow reseller. So I had $3.92 into it. It sold for $15. I made a net profit of $7.22. It's like I could have kept it, but it is taking up space for quite some time as we wait for my daughter to grow into it. So it probably was the right choice to just move it out, take the money, and we can put it towards something that my daughter actually wants to wear. On Friday, which was December 9th, it was a good sales day. It was a solid sales day. The first thing to sell was on Poshmark, and it was this new with tags Matilda Jane purple polka dot festive empire waist dress in a size medium. Okay, Matilda Jane is kind of ridiculous. I think their stuff is like a little bit out there. Like some of their kids' stuff, it's just a little bit out there. There's definitely a market for it. I'm not part of that market, but some of their stuff is a little bit more tame, like this dress. Again, this brand has a following, which is why I do tend to pick it up if I find it. But I also have noticed that the resale value of this brand has gone down. And I think the thing with Matilda Jane, it's like claim to fame, is you can match with your children if you want. So they have kind of these like mommy and me outfits. You know, the kid is wearing something and the mom has a matching outfit. I think that is not a need, that is a want. And so the number of people spending their money on stuff like that, I think has probably gone down quite a bit, which is maybe why the resale value of this brand has gone down a little bit, in my opinion. But this sold for $40. I had $2.52 into it. I did pick it up at that local consignment store as part of their birthday sale. So I made a nice net profit of $29.48 on that dress. I don't know, like I didn't feel like it was getting a lot of attention. I was very surprised when it sold because it wasn't getting a lot of likes or watchers, but it did eventually sell for a decent amount. So I'm not completely through with this brand, but I'm definitely much more picky about which items of this brand I will pick up. The next thing to sell was this pair of Madewell white high-rise classic straight jeans in a size 27 petite. I sold these for $17 and I had them listed super low to begin with because there was a huge flaw on them. There was like all this makeup or something. Like it looked like foundation all over the bottom of the pants. And I only had $1.72 into these. I don't remember where I got them. And these did sell with discounted shipping because I use a Chrome extension called PosherVA that sends out offers to likers for me 5 minutes after they like the item. And that way I don't have to sit there and like see likes come in and do that work myself. I can just live my life, and PosherVA will do all of the boring things like that and sharing my closet. But I made a net profit of $11.88 on those. Did I get those for free from someone? Like, I don't know why I don't have a cost of goods attached to this. I don't know. It's a mystery. On eBay, I sold this pair of new with tags, Cool, that's Kuhl, jean, classic fit, dark khaki tapered jeans. These were in a men's size 40 by 34. Cool is a great brand. It's a brand that I think is pretty similar to brands like the North Face, Columbia. It's very rugged. It's good to wear outdoors or when you're camping. It's also good for people who have jobs where they just need great construction in their clothes that aren't gonna fall apart right away, jobs where people are out doing construction work or welding or things of that nature. So I used to have a lot of really good luck with this brand, and I used to be able to pick up a lot of it in bulk at this one particular store in town. However, I have seen, again, the resale value of these go down, and they've become much harder to sell as well. I used to be able to sell them for like $70-$80 no problem, and they would sell pretty quickly. However, now I'm sitting on them for months and months, and this pair sold for $50. I had $24.79 into them because that was retail arbitrage, so I only made a net profit of $17.41, which isn't like a bad net profit, but I'm not even doubling my initial investment, and I held on to them for a super long time. So I have to think a lot more now about if this is a brand that I want to continue picking up if I have to pay that much for it. If I find this brand at Goodwill for, its normal $6.99 price that they have for pants, or at the bins or something, I'm picking it up always, no matter what. But to pay close to $25 for them only to make a $17.41 profit, I don't know that that's like the best use of my money. The next thing to sell was by the brand Lilly Pulitzer. It was this pink Pima cotton shrunken long sleeve polo shirt in a size small. I'm fairly certain this is vintage, or at least like very old Lilly Pulitzer. It's not what Lilly Pulitzer is known for. Yes, it's pink, but Lilly Pulitzer really is known for their bold, crazy prints. So I wasn't surprised that this only sold for $12. I had $3.92 into it because it came in that wholesale palette, so I didn't pick it out. I would not have picked this up if I saw it at the thrift store, but I went ahead and listed it because I knew it would sell. I would make some money on it, and I was trying to get as much money as I could out of that palette. So I made a net profit of $6.37, and now I can put that amount towards sourcing better inventory for my reselling business. The next thing to sell was this pair of soft surroundings, blue Freeman Flare high-rise velvet pants in a women's size 10. I was at a local consignment store, and they had 3 pairs of these identical like corduroy velvet pants, all in different colors. They must have had so many different colorways, and I picked them all up. They were all $3, and I was like, $3 for soft surroundings pants. You can't really go wrong with that. These sold for $20. I made a net profit of $14.97 on those. They have sat for a long time. So no, I'm not gonna like lose money on them or anything, but they were not quick flips. They were not the best flips in terms of the amount of profit that I was making off of them. Would I do it again? I don't know. The next thing to sell was this pair of Cancun distressed mid-rise blue skinny jeans in a size 23. That's a tiny little waist, but I do think that Can is the type of brand that those kids who are like, preteens or teenagers, like they're wearing this brand. So I think it makes sense that size 23 would actually sell pretty decently. These sold for $23. I had $2.52 into them from that local consignment store's birthday sale. So I made a net profit of $14.24. Funny story about Can jeans. On their tag, they have the word style, and right next to it the word what I thought was Estilo. And I thought it was saying the style name is Estilo. And the reason I thought that is because of how the tag looks, but also because when I would look up comps for Can, that was something that would come up fairly often is Can Estilo style jeans. So I thought it was a popular style of jeans that Can made. However, when I was hauling them, I think in this haul from this particular consignment store's birthday sale, someone put in the comments, Estilo is not the name of the style of the jean. It is the word estilo, which is Spanish for style. I felt very stupid. That makes so much sense. And I feel like I should have known that already, but I did not. So if you were the one that left that comment, thank you for educating me and just bringing me up to speed when it comes to this brand. And for all of you who are out there calling the style of your can jeans estilo, it's not. Estilo is style in Spanish. So there you go. The next thing to sell was over on Mercari. This was a new with tags J. McLaughlin off-white Manhasset, that was the style name, quilted zip cardigan in a size medium. This sold for $50, and I picked it up at a pop-up consignment sale, and my average cost of goods for that particular day that I went shopping was $9.23. However, I remember getting this for like, I want to say either $5 or $2.50. It was outrageously cheap. I was shocked at how cheap I was getting this, especially because it was new with tags. And I don't even think that I realized it was new with tags until I got it home and was hauling it. So I was ecstatic. But I made a net profit on that jacket of $33.82. J. McLaughlin is a brand that for whatever reason, I find it like pretty frequently around here, even though we don't have any J. McLaughlin stores in the area, but it is a great brand. It is stupid expensive retail, and it really does hold its resale value, even in this economy, I feel like. The next thing to sell is the opposite of that. This is an example of a brand that has truly gone downhill when it comes to resale value. It is an Anthropologie brand, and that brand is Cloth and Stone. Cloth and Stone used to be able to demand such a high resale price, but nowadays you're lucky if you can get like $20, $25 for their pieces. So this was a blue plaid button-up shirt with a raw hem. It was in a size small. I actually really liked it. Part of me wishes I had kept it, but I didn't really need anything like this, so I listed it. It sold for $25, which, like I said, is actually pretty good for this brand. I picked it up for $5.99 at a Goodwill in a town in like the Chicago suburbs. We were there when my daughter had a gymnastics meet last year, so I had this for a while in my inventory. That doesn't mean it was listed forever, because sometimes it takes me months and months and months to get around to listing an item, but I mean, I've had it in my possession for a while. So I made a net profit of $15.28 on that. On Saturday, which was December 10th, I had 2 eBay sales. The first one was this pair of new with tags Style & Co. black curvy boot cut jeans in a women's size 12. Those sold for $19.90. They were promoted at 3%, and I actually got them for free from America's Thrift Supply. They reached out to me about doing an unboxing of a micro bale of dresses and a box of, let me like try to say this correctly. I think it was either a designer denim box or like a luxury denim box. It was one of those two. When you think designer jeans or luxury jeans, what brands are going through your brain? I want you to think about that for a second. And then I'm going to tell you one more time what the brand of these jeans was. The brand was Style & Co. That is a Macy's house brand, and it was in a luxury denim box. Needless to say, I was not super thrilled with the mystery denim box or the micro bale of dresses. It was a pretty rough unboxing, I'm not gonna lie. But these did end up selling pretty fast, I'm not gonna lie. But I moved them for like $20, and so I made a net profit of $15.40. I think that if I had paid for that box, I think it was gonna come out to like $10 or $15 per pair of jeans, and there would not really have been any profit to be made. That's why I was not thrilled with that box. I mean, it's one thing that, I got it for free and it is what it is, and I'm not going to complain about free inventory, but to think that if I had paid for it, or to think that if I was recommending you guys to pay for it and then you got that kind of stuff after giving this company your hard-earned money, that's a harder pill to swallow. The next thing to sell was this pair of Crocs. They were the Clio style in a pearl white and celery green colorway. Celery green. I've never heard of celery used to describe green before, but I get it. They were cushioned, and they were a comfort sandal in a women's size 11. Crocs do sell well. They sell fast. They don't always sell for a ton. There are special Crocs out there that can sell for a ton. Like I once sold a pair of Crocs what were they? They were like heels for $150 once. It was insane. These were not that. These sold for $19.90. That was because of an offer that I sent out to watchers. I had $3.39 into them from a local thrift store, and so I made a net profit of $14, and I was happy with that. That was fine. They sold pretty fast, and they sold pretty fast in winter, so I'll take it. The last day of sales that we'll talk about is Sunday, December 11th. The first thing to sell on Poshmark was this Outdoor Research Moab Orange Trail Mix Full Zip Fleece Hoodie in a size extra small. Outdoor Research is another activewear brand, another outdoor brand. You know, I was talking about Cool earlier, but Outdoor Research, I think, is in a much higher class than Cool, than the North Face for sure. Outdoor Research, they're out there making stuff that, I mean, there's a lot of technology in their pieces. There's a lot of stuff that's just going to keep you warm and toasty. And those pieces retail for so much money. Outdoor Research is a really great brand. Now, this is just like a full zip fleece. It's not, you know, a super substantial piece. Obviously, with any of these kinds of brands, if you're finding any of like their winter jackets or things of that nature, those things are going to sell for a ton. But this still sold for $35. I found it at my local consignment store during their birthday sale. I only had $2.52 into it, so I made a net profit of $25.48. I have not had the pleasure of selling a ton of Outdoor Research in my reselling career just because I don't come across it very often, but when I do, it sells pretty well and it sells fairly quickly. The next thing to sell was over on eBay. This was a pair of my son's shoes. They were these Nike Maverick, I don't know how to say the style name, hook and loop large strap blue sneakers in a size 4C. Basically, there was just one big Velcro strap that you would undo, the kid would slide their foot in, and you would strap it back on. You know, I know a lot of people have shoe collections for their kids. Like, their kids have like 10, 15 pairs of shoes. My kids basically have like 1 to 2 pairs of shoes that they wear. One is like an everyday, this is what you're wearing to school, this is what you're wearing when we go shopping, this is what you're wearing when we go out type of shoe. And then they have one like slightly nicer pair of shoes for things like church or just if we're going somewhere nice. They basically have 2 pairs of shoes. And like they have snow boots and stuff like that, but they don't have like 5, 10 pairs of sneakers, you know what I mean? So this particular pair of shoes, my son wore into the ground. Like, I think the Velcro strap barely worked because we just had him wear these shoes for so long. And I made sure to disclose that. I let people know that the Velcro strap was not super strong. It, you know, would hold on, but it would kind of come undone pretty easily. These were listed for a while, but they sold for $9.90. I made a net profit of $8.43. And you guys know I have like a weird thing for selling my kids' clothes. I just love it. Like, I just love knowing that these clothes are continuing to live on. And I don't know, there's just something so special about that. So very happy to know that those shoes that my son wore so much and that we have so many fond memories of him in, that they are now in a new home, and hopefully, you know, a new family is creating memories with their kids in those shoes. The last thing to sell was another Polo Ralph Lauren piece. It was this beige ribbed Italian yarn lamb's wool sweater in a men's size large. This sold for $40. My mother-in-law actually gave it to me for free. I think maybe my father-in-law had worn it for a while. No, he didn't. He never wore a size large. I don't know where this came from. I don't know where this woman gets half of the clothes that she gets. She will just bring me stuff and be like, here, do you want to sell this? And I'm like, okay, like, where did you get this from? And I don't know, it's always from the most random people, but I made a profit of $34.01 on that. The issue is that the buyer opened a return. They've not started the process, though, of shipping the item back to me. And what I find oftentimes with eBay returns is that people sometimes just don't follow through. They'll open the return, but then they never get around to actually shipping the item back to you. And in that case, eBay will release your funds to you. The return is closed and you get to move on with your life. So I'm hoping that that's what happens here. Next thing I know, I'm going to get a notification that says your item is being shipped back to you, but maybe that won't happen. We'll see. So let's talk about my numbers for this modest week of reselling. On Poshmark, I sold 7 items for a gross sales amount of $250. If you factor in Poshmark's 20% fees and any discounted shipping that I offered, that total drops to $198.28. My cost of goods for those 7 items was $29.83, and so my net profit was $168.45. On eBay, I sold 11 items, which is much more than I sold on Poshmark, and that was for a gross sales amount of $277.50. So it's not like my gross sales amount was much higher just because my number of items sold was higher. I was selling a lot of things on eBay for, a really small amount, which is fine. But once you factor in eBay's fees, that total drops to $230.24. My cost of goods for my eBay items was $48.05. So about half of that was that one pair of cool pants. And so my net profit from eBay was $182.19. On Mercari, I sold 4 items for a gross sales amount of $159. Once you factor in Mercari's fees, that total drops to $136.48. I had $16.72 into those 4 items, and so I made a net profit on Mercari of $119.76. In total, I sold 22 items this week for a gross sales amount of $686.50. Once you factor in all of the fees from all of the platforms, that total drops to $565, and I had $94.60 as my cost of goods. So my net profit for the week was $470.40, which is not awesome, but it was much better than the last 2 weeks of sales that I talked about, so I will take the W. If you enjoyed this video, first of all, I would super duper appreciate it if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, but also if you enjoyed this style of video, like you enjoyed seeing what sold for me and you want to see more videos like this, I do have a playlist right here that you can check out just filled to the brim with only what sold videos. Definitely check that out if you want to continue learning in this format. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and letting me talk your ear off about the things that sold for me in this random week of December. I hope you guys are staying warm. I hope you guys are experiencing some great sales, and just thank you again for spending your time with me. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!